There was once a time where only A-list celebrities publicly dominated fashion trends. However, the advances of social media and convergent culture have allowed ordinary people to use social media platforms to produce and share their own content. Behold, fashion influencers on Instagram. I want to find out more about fashion influencers' individuality and personal style on Instagram. So what exactly is an influencer? According to Alexandra Ruiz-Gomez, influencers are do-it-yourself social media users that create their own digital persona, content, and audience. She describes that an influencer should have the ability to attain recognition, which is determined by their audience size, influence, and practices. There are different types of influencers: micro-influencers, macro-influencers, mega-influencers, and social media celebrities. Taking a business approach to self-branding is what distinguishes a fashion influencer to an ordinary user on Instagram. I've contacted a few fashion influencers that can tell you a bit more about what being an influencer is like.
My name's Alita and I'm an influencer from Birmingham.
My name is Caitlin Porter and I'm an influencer from the blog Glorious Sheep.
Hi, I'm Bianca Foley. I'm a blogger/Instagrammer from London.
My name is Awosa Oven-Rioba and I'm a fashion influencer from London.
My name is Brandy and I'm a fashion influencer from Birmingham.
I think I would consider myself an influencer because my personal page, I share my own ideas in the form of fashion and lifestyle. So I guess in a way I'm influencing people with what they'd like to wear.
I would say to some level yes, in terms of being told I've influenced people with things I've written about, such as body confidence, self-love, etc. Also influence people with my style choices, but I'd probably refer to myself as a micro-influencer.
I consider myself an influencer because I influence both in affecting social change. So I talk about issues affecting the Black community, I talk about sexism, I talk about racism, but I'm also an influencer in the sense that I photograph my outfits.
I'm struggling personally with the idea of being an influencer as such, because I never really know if people are buying the kind of things that I'm posting or if they're really buying into the idea of a style that I'm selling. I want to influence people, but at the same time, I wouldn't want somebody to think that I'm just flogging something to them. So personally, yeah, I'm still on the fence. That's what I'll say. I'm still on the fence.
I don't like that word of influencer, to be honest, but I guess the whole idea of being an influencer, which is, wearing clothes and then, inspiring people to buy them and that kind of thing. I guess yeah, I am an influencer in that sense, but I don't ever call myself that.
I think the first milestone for me was hitting 1,000 followers, and I kept thinking, I was like, there's 1,000 people out there that actually want to see the nonsense I'm posting. And this was 5 years ago. It was exciting. It's an exhilarating feeling to think people are actually interested in what you have to say.
It's over the moon. Well, for me, hitting my milestone was 1,000 followers. So hitting that, it was great. It was like I finally reached that target and people are finally seeing my work.
It's definitely 10k on Instagram, but I try and be content with whatever number I hit. I try not to attach my worth to numbers, but it can be very, very difficult in the game of influencing.
Say I hit my first milestone when I hit 2,000 followers and my activity started to go up. Kind of people regularly leaving me messages, writing comments and really supporting me, which made me feel kind of so happy that I'd been able to take something I love and turn it into a platform where people actually were enjoying it.
Probably 10k. Maybe I was supposed to feel a bit more happy than I did, but I was just like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, yeah, it was quite cool.
It wasn't what inspired me to become an influencer as such. It was actually that I enjoyed writing and styling, and that's the reason I started my blog, and I wanted to just share this with people.
For me, I just didn't see a lot of people talking about the issues I wanted to talk about, and my main platform is YouTube, and that's where I started out, and I didn't see a lot of people talking about social justice issues. Most people were just talking about beauty. This is in like 2010. So I started talking about those topics, and now we live in a time where there's a lot more information and a lot more people are willing to talk about those issues.
I actually started my blog 6 years ago, and that was because I was in a really crappy relationship, if I'm honest with you. And I wanted a little space that I could focus on to take me away from the situation I was in. I enjoyed fashion, I enjoyed food. I was inspired by so many things, and I just wanted to write about them. Stuff I see on the high street. I do look at other bloggers. There's so many.
My ideas firstly stemmed a lot from magazines I read. I love the editorial content, and I wanted to play around with making my own.
Pinterest is another platform that I find really useful, especially if you're looking for creative ideas.
London Fashion Week, any trends that are there, celebrity trends are very, very big for me as well. I really love taking inspiration from celebrity trends.
I'm walking down the street and I see somebody looking really cool. I'll be like, oh my God, what are they wearing? If they're wearing a cool bucket hat, I'll be like, oh. Then the next day I might go on ASOS and buy a bucket hat.
So in preparation for my content, I usually brainstorm outfits I want to shoot. I either buy outfits or the outfits are sent to me. And when they are sent to me, I arrange what outfits I want to take, and I look at locations of where I want to take outfits. And I also plan with a photographer or whoever I'm working with on certain days, and then after that I edit the content, and then I also use certain apps to schedule my content.
Oh yes, definitely. That's the longest part of blogging. People will often think you do some shopping, you share what you've bought. It's also speaking to brands, it's emailing, it's negotiation, editing photos and deleting the ones that you don't want, knowing your analytics, knowing what's best for you as a blogger or influencer, then coming up with a caption. There's a lot of prep that goes into it before you guys see the finished product.
Sometimes I'll do research to just try and make the item of clothing just look, as nice as possible kind of thing.
Megan Ellaby,
Jenna Kutcher,
Tia Ward,
Terry Webster,
Matty James,
Emma Hill,
Nerd About Town,
Little Magpie,
Hey Sierra
are just a few favourites that inspire the influencers. Portraying your personal style online is one of the factors that make you stand out. But what is personal style, and how do you find it?
It's about, choosing pieces that you actually want to wear, that when you see a dress, you're like, wow, that is amazing. I want to buy that. You don't have to be convinced.
You need to bring a sense of individual style to your work until you know who you are, until you feel that you have something to say, until your ideas are really fully formed. Work with your friends, work with smaller titles. Your wardrobe is not going to be doing the job for you. It's who you are.
Just as Anna Wintour said, knowing who you are is very important. Anushka Rees, in her book The Curated Closet, considers being fashionable is totally optional and expresses that your life isn't the same as everyone else's, so why should your closet be? Such a daring statement, but also makes you think.
Interesting question. I'd say I can be quite colourful. For example, today I'm wearing a yellow suit. I'd say it's quite out there. I'd wear certain things that maybe certain people wouldn't wear on a regular basis. But then sometimes it can also be quite simple and minimal.
If I'm feeling like I want to be comfortable, I'll wear something comfortable. So I like to wear very glamorous out there prints. So as you can see, I've got my leopard print on today. So I'm a big fan of prints.
My personal style differs. I don't think I have an actual style. I just dress what fits right for me. I don't have a specific aesthetic.
I'm a petite, curvy woman, and I need to dress for my shape because it's very difficult to dress for my shape on the high street. I used to find it is getting a lot better now. My personal style is quite simple. My go-to look, jeans, white t-shirt, blazer.
I wear pieces that make me feel good. Even if it's something that's not trendy, I just want to wear something that makes me feel confident, sexy and independent and strong.
You have to dress for your shape. And I wear certain things because I know that I can't wear certain trends. And this is why I've tried my best not to be too trend-led. Let's just say I wanted to try a trend that I know that I really can't wear. I will try and incorporate it in another way. So it'll either be in an accessory, some shoes, and I guess the occasion as well. I work in a corporate space full-time in the city of London. I can't roll up to work wearing a pretty floral dress or tracksuit bottoms because I'll get laughed out of the building. So you have to dress for the occasion.
I'm always looking for pieces that make me feel good about myself. Wouldn't ever wear something that might be seen as kind of a trend-led piece, just because it's a trend-led piece if it didn't make me feel good about myself.
When starting a business, it is often encouraged to have a unique selling point, a USP, which is something that makes you stand out. I've asked the fashion influencers what they consider to be their unique selling point.
I think what makes me stand out is my captions. About 2 years ago, I started making sure that my captions showcased a little bit more of my personality. I didn't really like bland, boring captions that didn't really show anything about the person. I wanted to make my audience laugh. I create very funny content on YouTube anyway, so I was able to kind of bring that forward to Instagram and make sure that my captions were funny and they were relatable. And I think when you can make someone laugh, they're more likely to comment, and those comments lead to engagement, and that can help you, get a bigger audience space. I think that's my selling point, the fact that I'm funny and I'm able to use that to connect with my audience online.
I like to engage with people on my stories, show people a bit of my personality, because everyone has a fashion blog these days. It's always best to sort of bring yourself to the table as well, let people know who you are behind the photographs, and it's always nice because people interact with you and they'll remember you for what you do there, so it's always good to be yourself.
My unique selling point as a fashion blogger, I'd probably say because I'm a dark-skinned black girl, and I feel like there's not that many out there, and I feel like it's something that's great just to celebrate, different skin tones and different shades of beauty. It's not necessarily just white girls who are, the predominant fashion bloggers.
I mean, in the past year, I've seen a big uprising of people that look like me. Previously, there weren't that many people in my age bracket. Most bloggers that I see who have curly hair are curly hair bloggers. But for me, I've always really done fashion. Also, being quite a small woman, I'm 5'2", so I like to do petite stuff. 6-7 years ago, being petite meant that you could only be short. You weren't allowed to have a shape. And it's nice to see the change in the high street with that.
I've also spoken to a few experts in the industry that have given me their opinion about fashion influencers. Here are their initial thoughts when they hear the word fashion influencer.
I just think of Instagram influencers that have like 10k followers and stuff like that.
Instagram, definitely. Yeah, just Instagram, because those kind of like reality TV show influencers are not really like, in my head, it's definitely like people from like Geordie Shore and stuff. I wouldn't think of an influencer being like Kendall Jenner. I wouldn't see her as an influencer, but she might be because she's like is influencing people. So
instantly I think of Instagram because we work with a lady called Laura Lockett. So we send her clothes and stuff, and she plays like a big part in basically what's trending.
I don't really know what an influencer is. It's just someone that has a lot of followers, in my opinion.
Yeah.
People have like influencer in their bio, and it's like, what do you do?
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Other than people send you stuff.
Yeah, you just get free stuff from Boohoo, and it's like, okay, kind of want that lifestyle.
I think some influencers, bloggers don't like to be portrayed as influencers. Lots of them refer to themselves as writers because they don't want to have that kind of stereotype looming over them. Lots of people say that they write articles and things like that just because I think sometimes the whole blogger stereotype can be quite negative because people do think that it's just standing in front of pretty houses, taking pictures, uploading them to Instagram, when the majority of the time, if you're full-time, there is definitely a lot more to it than that.
Wow, they all have like marble bedrooms and full-length mirrors, and it's very like posy, but you get some goofy ones which I quite like. It is literally all about self-image.
I do think it is very staged and very posed, and it makes it unrealistic, even though they're the ones that are meant to be the real people for like influencing people.
I think once you're in that like world, like Photoshop, you know when a picture's not real. But there's like young girls like 13 that are looking at these pictures and it's like, this person is not real, like these kind of things aren't real. Yeah, I just think it's not a real world. This is what I think of like influencers.
Yeah, I think they can almost get away with it because they're influencers, whereas if someone else was to act and sort of show themselves in the same way, everyone would be like, what's she doing?
Like if they get free makeup and then do a makeup picture and then it's like, that's clearly Photoshop, but we know that, but like a 13-year-old girl doesn't know that. I just think it's quite like a toxic world personally, but
no, personally, to me, I think you can point someone out for being a fashion influencer, and I've got that image of what that person is in my head, and I think they sort of fit into this almost
bracket,
group.
yeah.
I don't think any of them stand out apart from them, like they stand out as an influencer compared to other people, but they're a group of influencers.
Like when you say influencer, nobody comes to mind. If you said designer, I'd think of people because they're so different, but like influencer, nothing comes to mind. I just think of Instagram and like followers. That's literally what I think about.
Yeah. It's almost like you feel like they're just getting paid to do that, so it's not
real.
Unique selling point. I don't think the influencers do. They're trying to, but they don't realise that they are copying from other influencers, and then it all kind of like comes like you'll just see it all kind of flow together and be the same. Because that's why I try to look for a unique person, and I think to that influencer I'm like, oh, you're really different. I like your content, but I struggle to find that because they don't realise that they are like the same, which is really not good.
Neon trend,
Tailoring, hair clips,
sports luxe,
safari,
bucket hats
are just a few of the trends that influencers are loving. If you've ever watched The Devil Wears Prada, you might be familiar with the scene where Miranda Priestley cleverly shuts down Andy because she thinks that the two bouts are exactly the same. Miranda goes on to state why they're not the same by explaining the history of Andy's sweater, which is actually the colour Carillion. She points out how the colour Carillion has travelled down from major designers to department stores and then
fished it out of some clearance bin. However, that blue represents millions of dollars and countless jobs. And it's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry when in fact you're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room from a pile of stuff.
What Miranda Priestley is explaining is called the trickle-down effect, which is a term used by German jurist Uring and later reviewed by French psychologist Durkheim to describe the way fashion distribution traditionally flows within society. They propose that the upper class introduces the fashion trends and the middle class and lower class tend to replicate the trends set by the upper class. Once it is recognisable that these trends have become mainstream, the upper class alter their style to emphasise social hierarchy. Since the idea was formulated, it has been open to discussion ever since. However, McCracken suggests that this hierarchical flow of fashion has developed into a diffusion within the social classes. Loretta Roberts, who was the director of brand at WGSN at the time, offered a great insight of how trends flow in today's society.
Whatever somebody in Paris said it was, that was what it was, and now it is kids on the street. And they are much more influenced peer-to-peer than they would be from what any couture designer would tell them. Because there's always somebody, communicating that and tweeting it and Instagramming it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It gets out there much quicker, so the influence spreads.
With that said, let's find out what the industry experts think about the flow of fashion trends today.
I feel like Instagram would also play a part in that. I feel like you kind of just follow what you see on your Instagram feed at this point, like your explore page, and I feel like it's quite easy to just follow a trend, wherever that comes from, I don't know.
Yeah, I think anyone can set the trend in, fashion today because Instagram and social media aspect, because they can go viral very quickly and they can get an amount of followers that will catch on to that trend quicker. So there's so many people that can do that and have the possibility to do that. It's nothing to do with a social class anymore because everyone has Instagram. Majority of people have Instagram, so majority of people can start setting trends and people will follow.
The first theory is still correct to some extent in the fact that, as you said it in classes, so it's higher class, middle class. If you look at that as the designer, the designer, so we're talking like big name designers, and then their work is being copied by the Boohoo's and the ASOS and this and that, and then it's being distributed to us. I think that still stands.
Fast fashion is definitely a big thing. I did a project on fast fashion, and it was really interesting to look into how these trends are created, how they're manufactured, they're kind of put out into the stores, online, you know, Boohoo, Misguided, Pretty Little Thing. There are just so many of these brands that all basically sell the same stuff, and the prices just increase, but the clothes aren't the best quality.
What I see as the whole reason with fast fashion and why it's even so big right now is because people don't have a personal style. They're all looking to the bloggers, they're looking to the influencers, they're looking to the celebrities, they're looking to other people to influence their style, and that is being fashionable.
How do I feel about them? Sponsored posts, I think they're great because that's how I eat. So yeah, I think sponsored posts are good because it allows fashion bloggers to, you know, earn an income from what they do. If certain brands are pushing certain things to be promoted by these influencers who have, I don't know, thousands, millions of followers, then these items are what's going to be trending or what's going to be visible. So yeah, I guess it does affect trends.
I like sponsored posts. I think it's good that influencers are being paid for their work. What we do is very difficult, and it looks easy and it looks glamorous, but behind the scenes there's hours of work and not being paid by companies on time. So it's nice that we're compensated for that. I don't think that sponsored posts have an effect on fashion trends, but I do think sponsored posts have an effect on the trust that your audience have with you. Unfortunately, I think people think that if you're being paid for a post, you don't genuinely like it, or you're kind of forcing your audience to like it, when it's the same as when you open a magazine. The magazine isn't forcing you to like that product, it's just displaying it as an option for something that you can purchase in the near future.
The whole thing of an influencer is that they're supposed to be real, and if they're being paid, then no one's going to really believe them. So I don't know if it will help with sales, or if someone's just going to see it and be like, oh, it's just an advert, and they know it's fake. But to be honest, there was a couple of days ago when I bought some shoes, and there was someone from Geordie Shore, and she was wearing them, and I went, yeah, I'm going to buy them, and she had a link, and I just swiped up and I bought them. I've never done that, and I did it, and it just fallen into the trap, and yeah. So it is possible for people to do that. So I think as consumers, though, we see the fantasy in that kind of like, oh, she's pretty and she's wearing them, you know, so oh, I could wear it with that outfit like she's wearing with that outfit, so I want to wear that, so I'm going to buy it, you know.
Yes and no, like you will see things on Instagram like pay partnership, things like that, but I wouldn't necessarily click it just because it's a pay partnership. I would click it if I liked it, but some people are more easily led, and they think because that person's wearing it, they're like, oh, I've got to click it.
As long as you're being honest with what you're promoting or what you're talking about on your Instagram, then personally I don't think there's anything wrong with a sponsored post. You feel more valued for your work, and especially as a fashion influencer where there are so many of us now, it's nice to be told by a brand, say, do you know what, we want to pay you for what you do.
I don't think that that's true. I think fashion trends will happen regardless of followers, and I think a lot of that also has to do with celebrities and designers, and that just trickles down to fashion influencers, kind of like at the bottom of that creative totem pole. So no, I don't think it affects it at all.
I don't think numbers matter as much anymore. I think actually there's a lot more micro influencers having as greater impact on trends, and I feel like they are becoming more bold with their style, as maybe they aren't feeling as likely to stay on trend because there's less pressures on them because they're still growing, and they can also have kind of like a niche market.
Well, people with the more followers have more of a reputation, and people would trust them more because they have the most followers. But people with the less followers, though, people might go with them because they don't feel like they're putting on such a front. They feel like they're just like, they're real, they actually are real, and they're genuinely good at what they do.
If someone's like really popular with like millions of followers and they're getting paid to promote something, and they've got like a bigger audience that they can showcase to, yeah, it's going to have a massive effect.
I spoke to Stephen, the visual supervisor at New Look, to get an insight on customer reaction.
As a visual supervisor, I'm responsible for store layouts, keeping current trends up to date, best-selling products and stuff in key sight lines, windows, mannequins. It does definitely help. We have like A6s and stuff that we put on end of arms for pieces that are new in that we're told to advertise. Decals and graphics definitely like play a big part in visual. So over Christmas it was like the teddy coats, Borgs, the cargo trousers in camo print, but recently it's been more like occasional wear, so like lace bodysuits, two pieces. Yeah, so a lot of people come in with like photos of people from Love Island in two pieces and like dressy going out clothes. And then we also get people coming in and asking about things I've seen in like magazines and on This Morning. Yeah, massively. So we get sent stock out. She doesn't design the clothes, she just selects what she likes from collections and she pieces together, trying to pick something for everyone. But we'll have clothes sent in before and they won't sell. And then when we have to pull the package together and graphic it and it will go in the window and it's advertised, like people will come in and ask for those pieces, whereas we've had them for ages and they haven't sold. Because she's relatable, people like her, she does definitely help sell clothes.
People are having a hard time finding their identity. The more we're on technology, the less that we have an idea about like kind of who we really are.
There are articles online that question individuals' identity and presentation online. Who What Where interviewed Ellie at Slip Into Style to find out her opinion of uniform. She says it's all starting to feel more and more manufactured with less room to express your individuality. It seems like there's a formula, a sort of miracle recipe to success on Instagram, and everybody at some point is going to try and recreate it because ultimately they want their share of the cake. Because there are so many individuals that have access to Instagram, the fashion influencer industry is becoming congested. I'm wondering whether there's any room to stand out.
It is possible to stand out within the fashion influencer community right now. It is very saturated, but I think once you focus on being authentic and making sure that you engage with your audience so that your audience gets to know the real you, you're able to stand out. I think despite the fact that there's so many people in that industry, if everyone decides to be themselves, everyone's able to bring a unique quality.
Yeah, I feel like, why not? You can always attract people who are interested in you. If you just keep doing what you're doing, you're always going to find people out there who can resonate with you and who can relate to you and who are inspired by you.
It is a very saturated market. I can't deny that. And 6 years ago when I started doing this, there weren't that many people doing it. And I used to get a lot of weird looks on the road when I was shooting. And now you go to popular places and it's as if every woman and a lot of guys, which I love seeing, guys still need to buy stuff too. Fashion isn't just female focused. So it's as much as now there's a community feel because there's more of us doing it, there's also a lot of us competing for the same work.
I also had the chance to interview Perrine at London Berries, who is a fashion influencer from France but now lives in the UK. I want to find out whether there are any differences between the British and French fashion influencer community.
So the French influencer now copy the UK style and American like US style. So I think they look like the same now. Like the French, you can't even make a difference between a French influencer and UK influencer because they look the same. Like when imagine you want to compare a profile, imagine OMG Tiffany and Lady Nella, they look the same. They're completely the same. So you can't even say if she's French. I think now everyone copy everyone because everyone wants to be famous now, and they just copy the style of every single influencer on Instagram. Well, it was hard. Like for me, I think the people in the UK dress more better than the people in France. Before I moved here, I wasn't dressing like that. I wasn't even in the aviation industry. I was just wearing like normal clothes. But then on Instagram, I was seeing a lot of like influencers wearing like nice stuff with like different style, wearing like a lot of like bright colors, and I was like, why not? I wanna try and dress like them. I have more British followers. Like before I moved in the UK, I had a lot of like French followers, then British and UK. But since I moved here, I have like more British followers. Then in second place, it's American people, and in third place, it's French people. I don't have a big amount of French followers now. Okay, so the way that I dress here, I couldn't even dress that way in France, because in France people are judge a lot, like they're gonna judge you, like, oh, what's this or what's that. But here, I can wear anything. People are gonna be like, oh, you look nice. I'm more open and comfortable in the UK than Paris. That's why I moved that way, because. Yeah. It's hard. It's really hard because, like me, I got 5K. I know that my page looks really nice, but people only support the girl who already, like, you know, famous, that already got 100K. They don't want to support the, like, people like me. So yeah, it's hard. Like, it can take like months or even years to like hit 100K now. They only support like the people that are already famous.
For someone that works with a lot of fashion influencers daily, I thought it would be useful to ask fashion photographer Zoe if there are any similarities amongst the fashion influencers she works with.
Depends, because I shoot with so many different people that have so many different styles. So cycling shorts, maybe, the whole kind of Kim K sort of look trend. I've seen quite a lot of that recently. Again, it totally depends, because I shoot with so many different people. It's tricky to make one location work for all the different bloggers I shoot. However, Notting Hill is usually a good place because you've got coloured houses, you've got white houses, you've got more street style kind of stuff. It's just so big, there's so many different kinds of locations in a condensed area. And I do find myself going back to the same spots for different influencers, because when shooting loads of different outfits, say someone books in for 6 outfits, it's easy to just do it all in Notting Hill because there are so many different locations. Obviously I don't always shoot in Notting Hill, but it's definitely a location that I tend to go back to. The majority of people are so different, you have to learn everyone's unique styles, whether they want square pictures, whether they want 3x4, whether they want uncropped, whether they want unfiltered, retouching to their images. It really does depend. I always have like a basic shot list of, you know, kind of mid shots, detail shots of the outfit, full length, walking shots, to just ensure that we have enough images to choose from.
To be fair, I'm not gonna lie, there is certain times that I do something and then I'll see somebody that's followed me do it and I'll be like, oh, I think they were inspired by me. For example, like, this is just random, but the other day I did an outfit and I was like, this will look cute if I'm holding a magazine while I do this outfit. I just thought it will go with my whole vibe. So I was holding this magazine with my outfit pictures, and then like this girl who follows me, she's also a big fashion blogger. I think she even commented on the picture, and then later on in one of her posts she was holding like a magazine or a book, and I said to my sister like, she was inspired. But yeah, potentially that could have been that, but yeah, I don't really attempt to try and be the first person to do anything. I just try and do things that look cool, to be honest.
I wouldn't consider what anybody does to be new. I've tried a lot of different things over the years, if I'm honest with you. For me, I just want to post the stuff I like, and I think that's where my audience appreciate what I do. I've started something called the How to Wear series, where I'm doing a monthly newsletter with people's favourite looks from that month. People can shop the links or shop the items. All of my IGTV videos are now going to be how to wear or how to style certain pieces.
What I consider a new idea within the fashion influencer community is definitely my captions. I don't really see that many influencers using captions in the way that I use them. My captions are very unique in the sense that they're usually a joke or even a story. And they tell me this often. They come to my posts just to laugh and just to see the comments and just to see the captions. They do love my images. Everyone in the influencer community has amazing images. So it's like, what else can you do? And bringing my humour and bringing my comedic side is why my followers always come back. It's almost like a little community in the comment section which I really like, and I think that's a pretty new idea that I haven't seen.
When I asked this question, some hesitated to answer or could not answer at all. This is possibly due to homogeneity, or as Dishao says,
people are losing their identity. They're becoming what's popular. They're becoming what they see instead of who they really are and finding that way.
So is fashion and being an influencer becoming more uniformed?
When you think of like fashion, like at the moment, I think of like Boohoo and ASOS. But then because we study it, that isn't what fashion is. So I feel like Instagram and like social media portray a different side of what fashion, like fast fashion. And like
they don't really promote the other stuff. They promote the fast fashion, which in a lot of cases is rip-offs of the hard work that designers put in.
So yeah, I think everything looks the same at the moment. Yeah. Like you go to shop and everything looks the same. It's displayed the same. It's the same kind of model. Like it's all the same. So yeah, I do think so.
I do think fashion and being an influencer is becoming uniformed. I think it's becoming very saturated because people see the glamorous side. They see what we post and they think that it's about free clothes and free food and amazing events and meeting celebrities. And so there's a lot of girls trying to get into that sphere and thinking that that will give them a lifestyle that they're after, when really it's a lot of hard work.
Yes and no. The reason why I say yes is because I was influenced to start my own. It allows people to, put their creativity out there and inspire other people. But at the same time, I would also say no, it hasn't become uniform, because a lot of people, like myself, still like to bring something different to the table.
Fashion is becoming more uniformed because, for me, I follow a lot of fashion bloggers and everybody wears a lot of the same stuff. And you have to think, if we're being gifted something by a PR, generally it's because they're trying to promote a certain range that they've brought out or a certain look. So they may send the same item to 20 influencers and say, let's see how you style it, and post it at the same time. So you will see the same skirt, for example, popping up on your feed continuously. Not every influencer looks the same now, which is good. I feel like there was a point where everybody kind of looked like a carbon copy of one another. So you'll see things in a way that could be relatable to you.
I guess in a way, but not necessarily, because at the end of the day, it's still people's personal style that they're expressing. The people with the biggest followers will look similar because the people that they're attracting are into the same things. It really just depends on who you follow, because there's so many people out there on Instagram that you could follow, like people with so many different senses of style, but then obviously you will find pockets of people who dress in similar ways. So I guess to a certain extent.
Yeah, I do think they become more uniform. They are mimicking each other. They're thinking they are like different and they're not, and they're just building on trends, whereas they're not like starting a new trend, and that's that's what makes people unique.
I don't know, it's definitely a very saturated industry, especially in London. There are so many now wanting to do fashion blogging. People want free clothes, people want to go on all these trips, people just see other people doing these things on Instagram and they just want to get involved, or people just want to kind of show off their style. It's becoming a massive thing, but I'm not sure what I think on it becoming more uniform.
Yeah, they're all like, you can't even difference them because they look the same. They do like the same makeup, same hairstyle, they buy this like same stuff. I can buy the same stuff or an influencer, but I'm not gonna wear it the same way she's wearing that shirt or anything. I'm just like, they're the same. Like, I can give you an example, like Six Kenza and Clarice. She's French, but she lives in the UK now. They look the same. Like, if you compare the picture, it's exactly the same, like the same person, like it's the same content. They're not even different.
Say 100% yes, Instagram's to blame for the uniforming of kind of influencing and stuff, as we are constantly being shown influencers' content with a click of a button, and for micro-influencers it seems hard to kind of grow. So a lot of the micro-influencers are taking ideas from bigger influencers and producing content that's basically the same. So it's becoming a lot more uniform because of Instagram.
I don't think Instagram is to blame. I think it's just like any venture. Like, if people see that something looks amazing and something looks profitable, a lot of people are just going to rush into it. But at the end of the day, the people who are willing to work the hardest and sacrifice the most and learn the most about the industry are the ones who will do the best.
Yeah, because you know the way they dress, people like it. Like girly style, like classy, now people like it, and now they think that if you dress like this, you will have a lot of followers. But it's not because you dress that way that you're gonna gain followers. You have to be different. That's why people like me, because I'm different.
Bianca O'Neill, who wrote the article "It's Time Someone Said It, Instagram is Stifling Your Individuality" for Fashion Journal, proposes that fashion has always been tribal, a way to signal to the world who you are and what you stand for. However, she explains that she fears for the future of personal style and blames Instagram for this increased sameness. She has a strong opinion that the monotonous feed of uninspired sameness delivers a rapid and creativity-free black hole of forgery driven by a desire to be important, liked and gifted. This statement can be linked to what Miller states in his book, How the World Changed Social Media. He states that keeping up with fashion is an attempt not to stand out as an individual, but rather to conform to the styles of other women who have the same social position. Any thoughts?
It's true, it is like to conform in a way. I agree with the statement.
But I don't think it should be like that.
No,
but it is like that. I feel like our first answer to the first question kind of answered that by saying like everything looks the same, everyone acts the same.
I think it's tricky to put the word trend and individual in the same category because they're not, they're completely different things. If you're following, then you're not being individual.
I think he's trying to say that people only follow trends and stuff because the majority do. So if you apply that statement to influencers, I guess it is true because they do all act in a certain way, you know, like trying to be goofy and play up to the cameras, and obviously they all get sent the same stuff in PR, so they're all wearing the same thing, showcasing it in the same way.
Yeah, it's that whole thing of the influencer. They look at other good influencers and they think, oh, to be good, I have to do that because they're getting the followers and that's what people like. So it's just kind of like, do you know, like brands, like McDonald's and stuff, like whatever they're doing, Burger King's going to do whatever they're doing because obviously McDonald's are the best. So it's like, it's the same aspect, and like influencers, they're going to look at them and be like, oh, you know, they're in a sweet shop and they're posing with a cup of tea or something, you know, so I have to do that because they got 1 million likes.
I think fashion is a crazy thing. Like, it's so down to like your personality, who you are and what you like. I don't think fashion is conforming to the styles of other women who have the same social position as you. I think you wear what you want because you like it. Like, it's your own personal kind of view. If you like it, you wear it. I think it's as simple as that, really.
These last wise words by Awose and Bianca gives us an insight to the qualities a successful influencer should have.
I think what makes a successful fashion influencer is someone who really enjoys fashion and style, someone who's aware of trends, someone who also engages with their audience, because it's not about just being a model, it's also about engaging with your audience. And if your audience like you, they know you and they're likely to buy what you've bought or buy what has been sent to you because they trust your opinion. Also, knowing about the industry is very, very useful, because I think a lot of fashion influencers don't know how things like taxes work and the HMRC, and you know, things like that are very important when you need to send in your taxes and you need to keep your receipts and keep good eye on your accounting, and that's something a lot of people don't think about.
I guess your content has to be consistent, it has to be aesthetically pleasing. I think people like to see you on stories, not just prancing around going to events and taking pictures in your underwear and stuff. I think people want to see you sitting at home with a pizza sometimes, with a face mask on. Being an influencer is a sales role. You are selling yourself, your lifestyle, the clothes that you wear or the clothes that you're promoting to a really wide audience of people. And at the end of it all, you can be given a load of clothes by a brand and none of it could be exactly your style. And that shows. So when you're given the autonomy to post what you like and stuff that genuinely is something that you believe in, it shows more and your audience buy into that. So I do think being relatable and being genuine are some of the more important qualities needed to become a fashion influencer.
So what's the verdict? The consensus is mixed. As the fashion influencer industry is becoming more and more saturated, some have stated that there is blatant uniformity. Many influencers have recognised this repetitive nature of fashion trends and the need to stand out within the crowns of sameness. We have learned that the way to do this is by being authentic, unique, and by engaging often with your audience. Perhaps the issue of uniformity won't disappear anytime soon, with mediums like Instagram that encourage the recycling of carbon copy trends. But individuality has become the antidote to this. The next time you find yourself scrolling and double tapping on your feed, be inspired by what you see. But be careful not to conform to the homogeneity of it all.